Rashad, Sportstechwest, back at it again for the third episode of Hiking IQ, baby. So let's get into it. So today I thought about what I wanted to talk about, and I thought about something very interesting that majority of people are not discussing. And again, wanting to get away from AI, wanting to get into nature and speak about what I know and just utilize myself and God to give as much information as possible, as I know I can't take it with me. And it is really upon all of us to really pass on what we learn and what we know to the next generation, to our family, to our friends. So the one thing that I've noticed is, especially within the sports tech market, which is kind of my focus. So if that's not what you're really into, I don't know what to tell you, but here we go. So one of the things I've noticed is the innovation amongst leagues, right? And how everything is changing. And what I've seen is, and what I think is very interesting as I look around at all the things that are here, and I have to stay focused, there is an interesting dynamic happening where, we've talked about it amongst our peer groups for a while, to where we're like, some of these leagues need some innovation, right? So what does that innovation look like? We never really knew. There was never really a time in which we were like, oh yeah, they're changing the game. They're changing what it looks like. Because the MLB, NBA, NFL, especially in the US, MLS, they all look the same, right? But then you see, or if you watch currently, how, let's just take the Ones Basketball League, the OBL, or the TNC, right? Or Unrivaled. And we're just talking basketball, big three. Let's just think about those. How are they changing the game? And I want to go through each one and kind of bring it back home on why I think this is going to impact the world for multiple reasons. So the first one I'll speak to is the most current one. Shout out to my guy Ronnie Taylor and We Them Ones and Michael Beasley on winning the TNC championship. It was a great game. I actually got some amazing statistics on what Michael Beasley does with his tendencies. And I'm gonna send that over to you, Ron, by the way. So, because we think that basically, to give you more context on that, to go ahead and let you know, we think that we can provide value to not only players from a tendency perspective with our unique analytics, and I'm talking about BTE analytics, by the way, but also BTE stands for Beat the Expert. But also, one of the things I think that is interesting is from a sponsorship perspective. So 3-on-3, 1-on-1 traditional stats are not really as prominent, because you're maybe outside of Unrivaled, where you're going up and down. But we need stats that are focused on things that people care about in those scenarios. And I think especially in the 1-on-1, 3v3, you kind of want to see who can wiggle with it, who can move, who's got the best moves, who's got the best IQ. So looking at those things, that's one of the things we want to provide as a value add. And we can show exactly, maybe I'll spend a video showing exactly what that looks like, because it looks completely different than what we're traditionally used to. And it's showing statistics that traditionally aren't measured to enhance the fan experience, especially intense basketball heads, because those are the ones that are watching these sports. So let's start off with the first league. We got the Ones Basketball League, the OBL. Don't know a ton about it, but I know it's putting people on. So you imagine you're a YouTuber trying to get on and really just want to live the dream and hoop. They actually pay out, regionally, I think it's 50K. And then the national tournaments, I think it goes all the way up to like 250K. So for someone who is just trying to do this for a living, or who's really trying to build out a brand for themselves, or just street cred so you can become like a street baller, I think this is a great avenue. And it's owned by T-Mac, so you know you could be tapped in, and it's given some couple different players a recognizable name in the industry now. So love what they're doing over there. Then you have the TNC, the one I just named. They had the Big Beasley versus Stevenson game where you had two NBA players basically going at it. I'm still kind of out of breath, by the way. I ran some hills and then went right into it. So yeah. But yeah, I mean, hey, hear me out. I mean, they also had like Mario Chalmers. They had Will Bynum. They had a couple different players that played at a high level come through, along with some overseas guys, and you know, some regular street ball hoopers. Like they pretty much go with the gambit. But the high profile names is how they kind of build their presence. And I think whereas, you know, the one's basketball league, you got Tracy McGrady that can kind of hold it down without needing a ton of names associated with it, along with, you know, investors and sponsorships. He can kind of build that brand. And then, yeah, but I like their model. It's different. It's like cash prizes, pools, or whatever. You don't really know. I guess it's case by case basis how much you're going to get paid, depending on, you know, who you are, the stature of the tournament, all of that good stuff. But I love what these one-on-one leagues are doing, because they're providing a nuanced model of how you can generate revenue and generate significant profits from a business that's not traditionally like an NBA, NFL, what have you. And the same thing with the 3-on-3 leagues. So we'll go through those really fast. The 3-on-3 leagues, beautiful out here, by the way. The 3-on-3 leagues, we have the big three, which is Ice Cube. So Ice Cube is entertaining in itself, because he doesn't come from a traditional background of basketball, but he's an entertainer. So he understands the entertainment value of how to build a brand. And I think what's really unique about his company now is that he's actually creating a franchise model, to where initially they were going around kind of on tour. You think about And One tour back in the day, but now he's created it to where they're going and they're going to be playing. Well, each team is going to have their own hub, or it may be multiple teams. I'm not really sure how that's going to work, but it's going to be franchised. So it's going to be franchised, and he was able to pretty much get buy-in. I want to say it was like 50 million. It was something like that. Some investor came in and he was able to get buy-in, and now that increased the valuation of the league. Now the team's valuation goes up, the league's valuation go up, all of that good stuff. So I think there's an very interesting business model that he's created, where it's not the NBA, but it's a 3-on-3 league that's doing really well and it's moving. And then also what he does that I think is really unique is that each player that's drafted, they get $100,000, if I'm not mistaken, and then $10,000 per game played. So it incentivizes you to play games. And then you also get additional bonuses depending on if you win or not. So just imagine, you know, in the NBA, I think a lot of people get bonuses when it comes to the playoffs, but I think this is throughout the season and potentially playoffs as well. So very, very, very unique way they're approaching it, along with, and this is what I love about them in Unrivaled, is that they also have a rev share. The franchises, I want to say, get about 30% depending on how well they're doing. I think that's the highest level. Maybe like you win the championship or the league or whatever, you get a 30%. You get a 30% of the league revenue. So definitely incentivizing everyone across the board, and it makes sense. And it actually makes sense. So it makes dollars as well. So then we have, heard something. We have the unrivaled league. So shout out to Miss Stewart. They have, and Miss Collier, they have an amazing model as well. They built this from the ground up, getting investors. Also pretty cool with Kirby. I met her a couple of times. I want to talk more about our tendency data and stats and statistics and models and everything that we have. IQ scores, those are ready for you as well, along with some STEM stuff for your youth. We got a little robot that you code to play basketball. You guys would love that. Ball code is called. But outside of that, unrivaled, shameless plug, by the way, so shameless. Unrivaled is something that we've seen in men's basketball, but just from Ice Cube mostly. But we've never, ever seen anything like this on the women's side, to where they're paying more than the WNBA is paying. They're not only paying more than the WNBA is paying, they're giving ownership to players. They're giving $220,000 per player, and then you also get ownership. I don't know if that ranges, like if that's an average 220. I just know that from what I understand, 220 was the metric that I had. But if you can imagine that you're making more than you made in the big leagues, and then you can stay at home. You don't have to go overseas now on the off season from the WNBA, which is during the year. They have traditionally, their league over the summer for the most part, and the NBA is during, the winter and spring. But yeah, so they're able to play, and then they're just doing way more. Like they're doing a lot of advertising. They have things for women, like I know that they have like something where you could take care of your child while you play and all of that. So yeah, they have everything in-house to make them feel like, like they're on the top of the world, which they are. They're making moves. So 3-on-3 unrivaled is a really cool opportunity, and I hope that more investments pouring in. I know Steph Curry and a couple of other guys put in some money over there, but I think that league has a lot of potential. I didn't even know they had 1v1 too. So they have 1v1. Watched a couple of those matchups. It was really cool seeing them go at it. But so where does this bring us? A little out of breath, but getting there. Where does this bring us? I think when you see how the Olympics just added esports, you see how they have flag football going into the Olympics. You see all of these different, you see a lot more 7-on-7 football. I think the bigger leagues, just like bigger companies with AI and all of that, I think they are all in trouble. And I think each individual person, along with, innovative minds and ideas, of course you can sell and exit to these bigger companies, but I think they're starting to become banks. That's what it's starting to be, especially from the tech side of things. And also I think from the sports side of things, I think they will start to have to buy these entities to keep them at bay, or invest in them, acqui-hire, something that they have to do in order to keep them. And I see kind of like the NBA trying to get more presence, they're doing stuff in Europe, Africa. They have NBA China. They're all over. And you have the same thing with NFL, where they're playing all over as well. I don't know. I think their products are very good. I think the highlights are starting to become more prevalent, especially within the NBA. I think the football product is so strong and the viewership is so strong. I don't see them having to change much at all. I have to look at the NBA numbers for playoffs, but I think that, and I just see the numbers within their social media going up. So I think that it's huge in regards to like figuring out how people are, especially the younger generation, they mostly watch highlights or short form content of the games, especially during the regular season, which makes sense. But yeah, I think we're in a unique situation. I think where I don't know if these leagues can innovate fast enough. I don't know if they have the in-house talent to be able to consistently create systems and things that they don't even know that they're aware of. You know, there's smaller companies out there. I won't say no names, but you know, those type of situations to where eventually, you know, they have to figure out how to incorporate some of the things that some of these other companies may have that can enable them to take their brands and companies to the next level. So I think that these 1v1 leagues, 3-on-3, 7-on-7, flag, I really think they're the future. I think the more safe you can be as an individual, especially, I talked about the digital twins yesterday. The digital twins is going to tell you if you're having head injuries in football and if you need to chill out, right? All of those things are starting to come. So, and then with AI, you'll be able to ask it, hey, should I be playing this? You know, so there's a ton of things that we have to prepare for in these next 5 years. I think this is going to be the biggest transformation in history. I think that even from a sports perspective, when I talk about sports as well, I'm going to say this probably every time you hear from me. I'm talking about sports technology, fitness tech, and health tech. They all coincide with each other. And I think health is wealth. I think health is probably the most important thing. If you lose all your money, if you don't have any food in the refrigerator, you can still drink water for a while. But if you lose your health, you're not around anymore. So I think it's more important than what we put a lot of attention on at times because we take it for granted. But I really enjoy sports technology for that reason. And I'm going to leave it at, I think the innovation of these leagues, I think, can be developed with partnering with some of these smaller companies or working with some of these smarter companies in more innovative ways, outside of accelerators, outside of, foundations, but really figuring out ways to scale out how you're going to work with these innovative models, especially with AI coming. That's just my 2 cents. I'm going to sign out. It was always love talking to you, and continue to be great. Continue to enjoy the journey. Peace.